It was a typical Friday night for a group of friends. They had gathered at Max's house for their weekly gaming session. Max had recently acquired a new video game that he was excited to show off to his friends. It was a game called The Curse of the Ancients, and Max had heard rumors that the game was cursed, but he didn't believe them. The friends settled in and began to play the game. At first, everything seemed normal. The game was challenging, but they were having fun. But as they progressed through the levels, things started to get strange. The characters in the game began to speak to them, and the game seemed to have a life of its own. Suddenly, the game glitched, and the group found themselves transported inside the game. They were now the characters they had been controlling on the screen. They were in a dark and creepy forest, and they could hear strange noises all around them. They soon realized that they were not alone in this game world. There were monsters and creatures lurking in the shadows, waiting to attack them. The friends realized that they had to work together to survive and find a way out of the game. But as they progressed through the levels, they discovered that the game was more than just a video game. It was a portal to another dimension, a dimension ruled by an ancient and malevolent being. The being had cursed the game, trapping anyone who played it inside the game forever. The friends were now in a fight for their lives. They had to defeat the ancient being and break the curse if they ever wanted to return to the real world. It was a race against time as the ancient being grew stronger with each passing moment. As they fought their way through the game, the friends began to realize that their friendship and trust in each other were their only hope of survival. They had to work together and overcome their differences if they were to stand a chance against the evil forces that threatened to destroy them. Finally, after a grueling battle, they defeated the ancient being and broke the curse. They were transported back to Max's living room, panting and sweating, but alive. They all looked at each other, stunned and unsure of what had just happened. They realized that they had experienced something beyond their wildest imaginations, something that they would never forget. They had faced their fears, battled an ancient evil, and emerged victorious. But as they were packing up to leave, Max discovered something that sent chills down his spine. The game was still in the console, turned on, and displaying a message on the screen: "The curse has only just begun." It was a typical summer evening when a group of friends decided to get together for a fun night out. They went to their usual spot at the local bar, but this time there was a new face in their group. A charming and charismatic young man named Daniel, who quickly became the life of the party. As the night went on, the group of friends grew closer to Daniel, laughing and sharing stories. However, as the night wore on, some of them began to feel uneasy around him. His jokes were a little too dark, and his stories a little too intense. It wasn't until one of the friends, Jessica, stumbled upon a news article on her phone that the group's world came crashing down. The article was about a serial killer who had been on the loose for months, targeting young women who frequented bars and clubs. As the group read on, they recognized the killer's MO and felt their blood run cold. The killer would charm his victims before taking them to a secluded location and ending their lives. It didn't take long for them to realize that Daniel was the killer. They had spent the entire night with him, oblivious to the monster in their midst. The group tried to play it cool, not wanting to set Daniel off, but they knew they needed to escape. They quietly slipped out of the bar, but as they walked down the street, they could feel his eyes on them. Suddenly, they heard footsteps behind them, and they knew that their time was up. Daniel had caught up to them, and he was holding a knife. In the end, only one of the friends managed to escape. The others were found brutally murdered the next day. The killer, Daniel, was never caught, and he remained on the loose, waiting for his next unsuspecting victim. The survivor lived with the horror of that night for the rest of her life, haunted by the memory of her friends' deaths and the realization that evil can hide in plain sight.